Cindy Neely's gonna join, but she does not want to be promoted, so.
But do not promote Cindy Neely.
This one's.
Gary's not making it, so I don't know if that's that on for you.
He didn't.
He has another meeting for that, not to
Okay. Thank you.
Gary?
Gary.
Who doesn't love you then?
That is just, yeah, cheater.
Thank you for the time, sorry. My phone.
No
I don't remember my notes.
All right, it's 6 o'clock, let us all rise for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah. All right, well, welcome everyone. It is 6 o'clock on May 12th, 2026. This is a Board of Selectmen regular meeting. I will now do the roll call. Mike Huggins.
Here.
Amanda Cooper. Here. Alex Sassoon.
Here.
Dwayne Kaczynski.
Here.
Mary Smith. And Rich Barrows.
Here.
Great, we have a quorum. Thank you very much. We have an agenda in front of us. Does anyone have any comments, questions, or changes, additions to the agenda? Hearing none. Do I have a motion to accept the agenda as presented?
So moved. Second.
Amanda, Mary, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. All right, the amenda is, the amenda, there you go. They just combined a whole new word there. The agenda is approved. For public comment, we have members of the public may speak for up to 3 minutes on topics not on the agenda. Written letters will be acknowledged but not read aloud. Comments on agenda items can be submitted prior to the meeting via email to the town clerk at that email address. Bridget, did you get any public
I
comments?
did not, and we don't have
Okay.
anyone online right now.
No one's online. All right, very good. Thank you so much. Presentations. We do not have any presentations today. So moving on, you have in front of you payables reports to review. The first one is dated April 24 to April 30th. Any questions, comments on this one? I did sign checks on this one, and I think I did have questions which have been asked and answered, so I didn't have any comments. Did anyone else have any comments on these payables? All right, sorry.
On the page 6 or page 2 of the payables. The payment to Grizzly Creek Gallery, the photo usage rights,
The $300.
yes.
Yes, so the town has been using some images that Gary had done for the town, and he pointed out to us that they weren't according to professional standards and that the copyright had to be paid for, so we drew that up and paid him. So we,
His photos,
yes, so now we get to use, I think, the 3 photographs, and we have them for 1 year.
okay.
One of them is one of the Christmas ones, right, with the horses.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know what the other ones are, but yeah.
So, thank you.
Any other questions on that payables period? Very good. The second payables period is May 1 through May 7. I have not signed these checks yet, so I haven't even looked at this either. I had a quick question on, it would be page 10 under the building department. Contract service billing safe built $9,000 for inspections. Is that the inspections are doing for the town? Okay.
I also had a question, that was for, line 51-40-430, this is gonna be on page 2 of the payables. 11 in the packet is a expenditure for $16,515 for an air cooled heat sink for November.
I don't know what that is, I have to look, research that and give you an answer. Air cooled heat sink.
It sounds fancy. And it costs fancy.
Cost fancy from us, sure.
Okay.
So yeah, let's get questions on that.
Thank you.
I also had a quick question back to Safe Built on the code enforcement charge, same thing. Part of the same process, or no, code enforcement versus inspections?
Yes.
Okay, very
That's
good.
the new code enforcement charges with.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Any other questions on this one? We will hear back then on that $16,000. We can hear that by email, I imagine, just for explanatory purposes. Okay, very good. Any other comments or questions?
Who prepares this document
Sorry?
that explains the discrepancies in the?
Our treasurer does.
Okay. There was just no name on it, so it's, she does that, thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you. We have minutes from April 28th from our Board of Selectmen regular meeting in front of you for approval. I know that some edits were provided to Bridget. Those edits, and Bridget, is this that you passed out? That's the latest version. Very good.
Thank
So
you.
that would include all of the edits received by Bridget. Any other comments or corrections, additions to the minutes from the April 28th meeting? All right. Hearing none, would someone like to make a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
I'll approve the vote. I'll send the motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Thank you. Second.
Second.
Dwayne, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good, thank you. Those minutes are approved from April 28th. First up on our agenda is consideration of design options for reconstruction of the city park gazebo. And I know that Dennis had sent out some things by email to all of us, and then also at your seats are printouts of those same pieces of information. You also provided today a design option with the ramp, so I'll let you take it away.
Okay, thank you very much. Following the destruction of the gazebo from the windstorm, we decided to try to rebuild the gazebo, or at least design a rebuild of the gazebo as closely as we could to the original. And we spent a week or two searching for the original construction designs for the gazebo from way back in 1976, and we were unable to locate those. So we reached out to one of our resident architects, Tom Peterson, who's here this evening, and he kicked it into high gear and has worked very diligently to put together some design options for you to consider, along with researching the American with Disabilities requirements with regard to rebuilding this gazebo. Many will have talked to me about how we could institute some exceptions or some workarounds because this is an historic structure. But as Jerry has pointed out, I had him write me a memo. The minute that it was destroyed, it meant it was no longer a historic structure. It was a new structure that we had to build. So with Tom's research, we decided that, or concluded, and Jerry's help, that we had to abide by ADA. I think it's section 2 that we reviewed thoroughly. And so Tom has put together a couple of options. We informally presented that to the Parks Commission, and they were split between 2 out of the 3 options. And then while we were doing that, Tom was finishing up his design package, which you have 2 of those this evening. Both of those design packages were utilizing the idea of an ADA or wheelchair lift, a mechanical lift that would be attached. And then he also went one step further and developed one of those options with an actual ramp. The concern with the lift is, I know my kids, I know my grandkids, and if they're in the park and there's a mechanical lift, they're gonna be going up and down and up and down all
No,
day
no,
long.
Connor.
And so, so that's a concern. Mary had a good point. She emailed me that, the hours of operation had to be very flexible and open, and so how would we manage that? And that was one more obstacle. So those are presented for you this evening. What we're asking for is that you land on one of the options, so that Tom can finish up his work and develop a construction drawing that we can then include in our bid packet. Have the bids go out, get the bids responses to us so that you can make a decision on the 26th on who's gonna do the work, finalize the design as Tom finalizes it, and how we're gonna pay for it. So we're kind of in a time crunch, we always have been. Tom, if you want to, can you please go through the two options for us and then explain some of the ADA stuff to us?
Yeah, yeah, first, thank you all again for the opportunity to present these ideas so let's see, yeah, like I was saying, ADA is just, environmental by building code and accessibility requirements, so really what I'm hoping to get a good feel from everybody tonight is there's two roof options. So roof option one, and roof option two. So I don't know if you guys had a chance to look at those or have ideas on those, but basically roof option one, trying to come up with something a little different than just you have a 10-sided gazebo, which is pretty unique. So the base idea behind roof option one is a 5-sided base roof with then gables attached to each plane, on the face, like, underneath the stairs or underneath where the ramp access would access the depot there to kind of create the endpoints responding to the 10-sided base that we still have. We can, do some decorative, how well they'll show up on some of those views, with maybe like decorative shingles and low gables, something like that, to just kind of mimic the historic and Victorian style that are around town. I think that's roof option one in a nutshell. Roof option two was just a standard 10-sided faceted roof, just a 10-sided hip roof basically. And we put a little cupola on top of that to just pretty standard basic roof. That I don't know what else to say. So between those two, is I guess it's just a design preference. I don't know how all the town goes about some size on stuff like that, but my 2 cents is roof option one, just for something unique, and I think there'll be some neat opportunities underneath that roof with some beams of how that'll come together too, to be kind of visually interesting and something to look out here, standing up there. So if you have any questions more specific, I'm happy to answer. That's kind of the two roof designs in a nutshell.
I had a quick question regarding the size. Are we keeping with the footprint of the current base?
Yes.
Okay, so it's not gonna get larger.
No.
Okay. And then, let's see, does DRC have to approve this? Yeah, okay, thank you.
In your opinion, the cost differential between the two roof designs?
That's a good question, because I'm oftentimes out of the pricing loop. What is it?
Dwayne.
Dwayne?
I mean, it would cost more to do each of the little gables, because you're already framing the existing roof and you're framing those on top of it, so it's more labor intensified for each one, so for sure with the cost, but I still think this would be a DRC question on what they want. I don't think they're gonna go, okay, this is a cost issue as much as an aesthetic look.
So just, for the role of the DRC, they don't do designs, they approve a design that's submitted to them, so I think as the board of selectmen, actually you guys would be the ones who would direct it. They'll say, this is historic, this is appropriate, yes or no, and I'm sure, if you wanted their opinion, you can, but just for their formal role, that wouldn't be what they do.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're looking at both books, it's just all the DRC meetings I've gone to, it's usually, you kind of give them an idea and they kind of tell you, right, Tom, like what they think more so.
Yeah, I don't think, DRC probably won't have, input on cost, I think is what you're getting at, right?
Not cost, but the look, I think they
Yeah.
would have an input on.
And I guess back to add to the question was, I picture that both designs will have beams coming up. The option one would have 5 beams coming up to a center point. The option two would have 10 beams coming up to the center point. So that, there's fewer that way. I pictured a ring, the overall ring is gonna be structurally, it's gonna get ripped, so to keep all those rafters, all those beams from splaying out structurally, that's just gonna be like this raft, this connection where the columns meet that upper beam support. I mean, again, back to cost. Couldn't say which one might be more in the end, or more labor intensive or more materials. But it's probably not a huge
Dwayne, Tom, are we talking the difference of $20,000 or $5,000?
No, I got with Tom on it, it's minimal, I base everything down by the hour, so I mean, you know.
I bet
it-
it's
it
gonna be
actually-
more than like 20.
Well, the whole cost.
You think that it'll be 20,000 more to do the roof?
I wouldn't be surprised.
I think that, so just for perspective from parks, and parks all kind of really leaned in towards the first roof option. Parks actually had 3 options and narrowed to 2, which came in front of us tonight. But the overall vibe from parks was that if it's achievable within the appropriate cost, and is any of this covered by insurance?
Yes, a little bit. A little bit.
That's offsetting some of our out-of-pocket costs. I think everyone agrees that the aesthetic of this guy, roof one, is gonna have like such a great sense of character and a lot of longevity. That was definitely the discussion at Parks. There's nothing wrong, sorry, I started stuff, I was irresponsible and left mine on my dining room table. I mean, I don't think anyone's gonna like be mad about this, but if you're comparing these two,
That's not good, but.
like, this is a lot nicer.
So I know they'll both be built to handle the snow load, and I know it's more frequently used during the nicer weather. However, if we've got several gables and the snow melting off because we don't have trees anymore to block anything, so the sun will be. What's gonna be the impact on that also? It's a minor consideration, but it is a consideration.
Well, were you thinking gutters, Tom, on this at all? Because with the gables, you're more centralized and the water's gonna come off the sides.
Right.
If you leave the gables off, then it's coming off all of it. Or
Yeah, I
you
think-
probably wouldn't need a gutter.
Yeah.
It really depends, I think, yeah, from water control, I guess. You wouldn't necessarily need on, any gutters on option one. The way, I mean, the gable shed the water away from where you'd be walking up under was kind of the idea behind that design too,
But
versus.
not on ramps. If there's a ramp or if there's a lift, we're gonna have to give some special consideration
Oh, for
To
sure,
keeping that
for sure.
for keeping that.
Agreed that, yeah, and the lift would be under the gable, so from that perspective, the ramp, yeah, because it wraps. Probably would have to have if you want to keep the water treatment on there. Ditto with either roof option, really, I mean, water, and so roof, water, rain, snow that falls on the roof is gonna shed off either roof.
Sure.
Structurally, the interior sides, I mean, structurally, it's the same snow load on either
Right.
roof. So it's not I don't think from a cost or complexity standpoint that that's an issue from say that one roof's gonna cost more to build structurally to hold the snow.
So are we keeping the foundation? Or are we replacing the whole thing? We're keeping the.
And foundation is there.
But we're.
The original base.
The base,
Yes, but it will need a few repairs.
Is it built on a slab or is there an actual?
but so if we're keeping the base, how is a total new build if there's part of the structure exists?
It's 50% replaced, so it's considered a new structure.
And that's per our new 2023 building code?
24.
That was 23.
I mean, you probably want to check to see, like, if they put the pyramid, 49 years ago. Did they put the pyramid foot in the ground or they put them, up to code? So I mean, that to me would be worth replacing if it wasn't, right? If it wasn't
So there's two things going on, right? One is the design
structural.
and then the structural piece. So are we also approving the structural piece,
Or
right?
we just have to pick a design,
Are we
and
just
that's
picking
gonna
the
be on the
design?
contractor to come in and
Okay.
say.
So that has to be assessed at some point.
Engineer,
Exactly.
engineer comment on structural
Right.
integrity of the existing foundation. And as far as the platform, when I was told ideally, yeah, if we could use the platform, great. It does have probably a lid that's kind of pitched in the middle, there's a center pier underneath that, it's a frame floor structure. So probably doesn't quite meet ADA, that I measured it with my crew tools out there. It just has a slightly steeper pitch than a cross slope is allowed on a typical ramp. And like Dennis mentioned too, there are a few beams, the ends of the beams, so it's basically everything, there's beams at each each 10 points going to the center. The ends of those where they have the columns bolted into, some of those ends were kind of rotted out, so how far that rot goes, again, so those beams need to be replaced, how much of the structure needs to be replaced, it's kind of needs to be assessed once the contractor kind of gets in there, and gets underneath there.
So once we know that this, sorry.
Was that, yeah?
So we need a big contingency. So I don't know if this is gonna play into it at all because of the age. I reached out to Historic Georgetown to ask if they had any plans, which I'm sure you probably did too. There aren't. However, in the conversation, it came up with the research that was relayed to me, that this was actually built in the 60s, not the 70s. And therefore puts it into a different age range. Now, there's no easy documentation to grab onto to determine that. However, the suggestion was if there's research with the newspapers and archives, which we have two great people who do that a few blocks away. If it's to our benefit or just for general knowledge, I would suggest that we find that out. Now, it doesn't sound like it's going to play into, if it's over 50%, you know, has to be rebuilt, it's gonna fall into a new build anyway. But over time, I suppose it would be nice from a historic perspective, when we get ready to dedicate the new one, that we have some, you know, accurate information.
So is there a concern about, I mean, I don't think it's a choice, but is there concerns about the ramp? Or the lift being included?
Well, so, because when we were talking about this just in casual conversation at our last meeting, it was, oh, it's just missing the 50-year-old mark. And so therefore it falls into this area. Now, if it's
Possible.
based on a percentage of what has to be rebuilt, it probably doesn't make a difference anyway. But if in fact it is more historic, it's older than dirt as opposed to just old, then, you know, it would be worth finding out, and it's easy between the two women that work over, you know, at the archives, we could find that out.
I would say though.
Would
like,
that determine the thickness design, sorry?
I don't know, you're.
Well, it may, I don't know, and I don't wanna delay this by doing that. But I also think that probably between Christina and Libby, they could probably put their fingers on the right newspaper at the right time and say, aha, in 1964.
So
You know.
Cindy's online, we'd like
Yeah.
to hear from her, but before we say that, your point's well taken, and we have discussed a plaque that would be erected when it's done, commemorating not only its original design and construction, but what just happened to it, right? And what we've done now to rebuild it. But Cindy might have something to offer on this. She has been talking with Tom and I as we've been going through the details. Cindy?
Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you,
Hi, Cindy.
Cindy.
Hi there. It's a different hour in my part of the world at the moment. It was not built in the 60s. It was designed by Langdon Morris. It was built in the 70s. I would have to ask Christine, you're right, for a precise date, but it was built for historic Georgetown. It was built after the Hamel House was acquired, which means that it's after 1972. I'm just not sure whether it was 74 or 76. And so that we would have to check on. But that, you know, I wasn't here in the 60s and I remember it going up and yes, it was a historic Georgetown. So that's where you sort of are in the date. And yes, it was.
74 would make a difference if it was actually constructed. I'm sure we don't have building permits from back then.
Well,
Yeah.
it would make a difference in terms of what we could have access to potentially for grants, maybe for reconstruction or.
We don't have time to go
To
get
go.
any grants on this,
Okay.
I'm sorry, but if we go
Okay.
through a grant process, they're not going to retroactively give us whatever money
Sure.
a year or two
If
later.
we want it by anything by the fourth, we
Yes.
need to decide tonight.
Yes.
Hey, Cindy, I have a question for you. What design do you like better? What do you think fits historic Georgetown more?
Is that a question to Mary?
No,
No,
to
to
you,
you.
Cindy, sorry.
Oh, I can't, I really can't speak to that because I'm also a DRC member.
Right,
I am not going to speak to that.
Can I put some thought into this? So this is the more desirable design, I like this a lot. However, the columns seem small to support the roof. I mean, I know they will structurally, but like just
Sure.
the weight of it for the appearance. Is there a way we can have those beefed up?
Sure.
Okay.
And there's the man sitting there.
Yes. Well, no, I know, I'm just saying the appearance of it, I know they are. They'll physically, yeah, but like something like bridge paneling or something.
So I think it's, go ahead.
Because we're under a very serious time crunch to get an RFP out, it does, and again, I don't wanna speak for anybody, so. It feels like all of us are gravitating towards the more.
Yeah.
I don't wanna call it craftsman, but I'm gonna call it craftsman because that's what it reminds me of, it's got like more. Edgy character charm. If our RFPs come back through the roof. What would it look like for, I did do that on purpose. Thank you for catching that. What would it look like for us to adjust the RFP back to this one? To facilitate this faster, like what
I
is
think we need
that?
to stick with one design.
Well,
Well, I'm
I
thinking
think
if the
once you get
difference
to,
is,
Understood.
Yeah.
once you get to this is a design.
yeah,
And it will not be the exact same structure that's built, because we are going to go get a contractor is gonna come in. Tom is gonna finalize drawings, we're going to get a structural engineer that's gonna have his hand on it. And by the way, we're utilizing the structural engineer that we already have under contract for the library, we're just gonna tack this little project onto that contract for speed. And then, when the contractor comes in and they start pulling some of the floorboards off the deck to see what they have to do, they might have a suggestion on how to do it better, and then we will roll with the punch there. But let me also kind of step back and offer up this and remind you that there is an option here. Now, the push for 4th of July is obvious, right? Why we want that, but we could rent a bandstand and place it in the middle and have a place for the band to perform from. And then remove that rental piece of equipment and continue on with this if we don't want to move at this speed.
A couple of questions. For one, like the different designs, a builder, when he goes to bid this, is more than likely gonna, he would bid these the same price. And I get there's a little more work, but it's small enough that their cost is an initial setup and building it. Adding that stuff, yeah, if you added that to the back, they would charge you. Versus like, if they give you a price, like, oh, what if we take this off, they're still gonna charge you the same price. They might drop it a small percentage, but not enough, it's more on what we like, if we like this one, we should stick with that.
Yeah.
Is there a height difference?
Overall height, the option 2, just the standard, is a little bit taller. I believe that, and I don't know specifics on that, but just.
So any other questions? Is the board ready to make a decision about design?
We're just talking the roof design, right?
Just the roof design. That's all we're talking about right now, correct?
Well, wait, so
Okay.
Tom is going to incorporate larger support
You can do that, with a little more detail on maybe like British County, because they might be thinking enough to do that to match the bottom.
Yes, I think the plan at this point is we saved some templates from the old gazebo that are up at Road and Bridge. And Tom has visited and looked at those, and so the accents that are there, like with the routed,
Balusters.
yeah. That were painted green, they were like new lane green,
Yeah.
we're gonna try to replicate that.
and then the other thing we have to decide on is the ramp versus lift.
Correct.
So let's
Because
do
we have
separate,
two things.
so that we can get one off the plate. I vote for number 1.
Great.
Number 2.
Number 1, oh, I don't get to vote, sorry.
Number 1.
So this is a formal vote,
Okay.
number 1.
Can it
Number
be,
one.
Okay.
can it be, please?
Well, I mean, it is going to be, I
Okay.
think that was just like.
That was
No, that was just a straw
That was our.
to figure it out. So first of
As well as we
all,
can stop talking about the roof and we can go on to
right,
that.
there's a motion in your packet regarding the roof options. So why don't we, would somebody like to make that motion? And we're talking about option number 1.
I think Madam Parks should do that.
All right, I move that the board of selectmen accept option number 1 and authorize staff to move forward with construction drawings and bidding for the replacement of the city park gazebo.
Second,
Second.
Wayne, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Any opposed?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. One opposed. And then the second thing that we want to talk about is ramp versus lift. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so I think we also had some pretty clear direction from Dennis at the beginning that the lift is gonna be expensive, kids are gonna be messing around with it.
I went for the brand.
Yeah.
Also, I just, I have a lot of people in my life who rely on ramps and lifts to get around. and
That's right.
Lifts are very problematic. They break, they have very specific parts, they break, and it would be really difficult to have that on the parks plate.
I don't think it makes it accessible for everybody. If we have to do accessible, I don't think the rent makes it
And,
accessible.
and
I think
everybody,
it's
there are people
the
who have
best answer.
strollers, people who are
Right.
using like a cane, or
That's right.
they can use it, so ramp, okay.
Can
So
I,
do we
can
need
I
a
also
vote?
throw in that, the Parks Commission was encouraging a ramp?
Yes.
Right.
Did DRC weigh in on that? No.
No,
And I originally was not a big fan of the ramp idea because when Tom and I first started talking about it with incline requirements, it was gonna have to wrap around the whole thing, so it'd be like the gazebo with an insulation around it. But Tom went back and did a really good job at figuring out an alternative solution. I think it fits and is doable, so that's why I'm recommending it.
Is there a specific direction that when we have performances where the ramp should be on the backside, correct, of how this is normally used?
Or the front
And
side.
I was gonna review that too, and kind of final design, because really, where that ramp option is shown there. We can rotate that
right.
on any facet of that 10 sided. So yeah, I didn't want to double check with everybody before we say this is where we're gonna build it.
Is there a front and a back?
That's a good question too, right?
Well, there's
Well, front,
There's
the
not a-
stairs are,
There's steps to.
right, the steps where there were.
And I'm trying to remember, the way I've been drawing it, I have the steps facing.
The dog park, east, yeah.
Yeah, and part of, we had a gathering where we
I
did.
don't know where they were on that.
They're
structure
north
discussion.
and south and.
Yeah.
There's on the east side.
And east.
Yeah, so I thought they were done.
So do we get do we get a final design look at this now that we've said okay to the roof and we're saying okay to the ramp? Do we get to look at it again?
On the 26th, you're going to say, yes, give it to contractor, whoever. You're going to approve the budget, because I can't put together a budget
Right.
without knowing what the bids are
Uh-huh.
in this time frame. And then thirdly, you're going to approve the final design, so that means we're gonna have to had time with the contractor to say, this is doable or not doable, or the money comes in and it's just outrageous, we're gonna have to.
Correct. Like,
And then you're gonna tell us where we're not going to spend money because we're spending money.
Correct.
Or where we can.
Correct. And that might include one of the 20 capital projects that we have planned for the year.
excellent. So right now we need the decision on ramp, right, versus lift?
Right.
Okay,
Correct.
ramp. Okay, does someone want, are you ramp? Alex, ramp?
Right.
Right, okay, so would someone like to make a motion based on what you see in your packet here for the ramp?
I move to the Board of Selectmen accept the option for a ramp and authorize the staff to move forward with construction design drawings and bidding for replacement of city parks and all.
Thank you, second.
Second.
Dwayne, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, very good, so that was approved unanimously, thank you, so we have the roof and the ramp, and we'll be looking at more designs. Tom, thank you so much, we really appreciate you being here, and I really like the designs. I love the roof option, it's great. So thank you, you're welcome to stay or whatever you would like to do.
Thanks, Tom.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you. So agenda item number 2 is consideration of the proposed Gateway Arch project. You have that information in your packet. Dennis, did you want to speak to this?
Yes, Mike can also speak to this too, because he's been intimately involved as a member of the BDC, but this project has been worked on in discussion and actual nuts and bolts for some time. The contractor that we hired to do the design work, his name is Andrew. And Andrew has completed his work to the point where he has a very solid cost estimate. And so we received that information from him, but before we move on to the next steps, and that would be putting together the construction plans and doing the survey work, along with potential for the structural engineer and geotech engineering. I wanted to present this to the BPC and to you so that we can do a check-in and say, yes, we've got the cost estimate. We want to keep moving forward and the green light is given to engage in these other disciplines. So the BPC was unable to vote on this because they did not have a quorum, but I wanted you to see this and know what is being discussed because eventually this is going to be something discussed out in the public, and it's better for you to be in the know. So this is, I'm providing you a copy of the memorandum packet and the information that Andrew's provided along with the cost estimates. So you can see this, and this is just for information only, so the BPC will be discussing and hopefully voting on this on June 3rd.
So the budget impact in here is 298,000 to 313,000. Where are we getting the money?
We don't have that programmed. What we have programmed is the $50,000 and the $10,000 to do this initial work.
Okay. So we're probably looking at 27 on this, so
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm. If we have money left over from the 50 and the 10, then we can get started on the work to install the piers. And then do some of the subterranean work we have to do, but that is not gonna be a lot.
I know there's a lot of conversation as to where this is going to go.
Yeah.
Or there's a lot of debate as to where it should go. Which I just bring up because that could impact the engineering fees. So. Perhaps not the second in time, but that information needs to be decided and agreed to.
I think you're correct that it's going to be dependent upon what the geotech survey and the land survey comes up with. But I think, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, but all along, we have been working with, we want to have it as close to the roundabout as possible to serve as an entry statement. And even though it shows in one of the images that Andrew put together, it's near that area where the loop drive goes up and that
Right.
sign is. I think that was just an initial spot picked because we knew we had right of way space there. And also there were piers in the ground for a previous sign or a monument of some kind. So we would hope to move closer to the roundabout down Argentine and pick the best place visibility wise, but also with recommendation from the geotech engineer and the land surveyor.
You're talking about the piers that are at 11th Street?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
and so we know that those were not built appropriately, constructed appropriately, so they're useless.
right,
And hopefully at some point we can. do
remove them,
something.
yes. If the experts on this say that the best place is right there where your piers went for this other project, we would remove those and put new piers in.
So how are we gonna determine where it's going to go?
You will hear a recommendation after this other work is done. We're gonna keep going through the same process, so the geotech engineering gets done, the land survey, the structural engineering gets done, that's gonna go back to the BPC, and then we'll make a recommendation on location with you.
So they're looking at a 4-block area. As to where it could go, between 11th and.
I would say they're
roundabout
looking,
15th.
I'd say maybe somewhere between 14th and 15th, not all the way down to the roundabout, but not down here by the bridge.
Yeah.
The 11th Street Bridge. That's too far away from the roundabout, the consensus has been.
I kind of disagree with that, bro.
Okay.
I think it should be the gateways with historic and, you know, not saying the Victorian completely starts at 11th Street, but it's just a block beyond that.
I just don't want us to waste our money sending
No.
the engineers in a certain direction if that's not.
Right.
Where it ends up. You know, and
Right.
so I'm just trying to get ahead of that.
Do we have city right of way of anywhere else, you know, that? Cause I mean, I assume we have that city's property that is at 11th because we've attempted to put an arch there before.
So just clarifying, you think it should be further towards 6? or like closer to 6 or further towards the roundabout.
Well,
I
red line where it's.
You
Big
go
stuff
out
like
and-
that, yeah.
It could move, if it moved, so
They
here's,
move forward, I mean,
it should move towards the roundabout in my direction, just so that it's more visible. But my question is this, when you have geotechs go out there, are they looking at that whole span of 4 blocks, or are they only looking in specific areas, or how does that, what does that look like? What is the area that they're looking at to test? I'm assuming they're doing soil sampling type of thing for structure.
What is that street that comes by your house that crosses into the parking lot at Mother's and Whistle Stop?
That's 14.
14.
Okay.
But, so 14 is
Pretty far.
currently vacated though.
Right.
see.
But
Yes. That's my favorite.
So yeah, I mean,
Can't measure.
14th is vacated.
But
But it is
if we're
technically
doing a
private.
geotechnical survey to see where these structures are best put, is that what we're doing? So are they doing that whole 3-block span or something from 11th to 4? Okay, so they're gonna test that whole area and then come back and say, here's the best, but what if no one likes it? Then we can say, oh, we're not gonna do it.
Oh, I can tell you, there's already very strong opinions out there.
I know.
It's already got a mind of its own.
So we'll have a 3-block area to
Test
know,
it.
to know where.
Options.
Yeah, so what I anticipate is that the geotech engineer and the land surveyors will show where it will work out just fine. BPC then will get it and say, we wanna go right there, that's the recommendation we wanna vote on and send to the Board of Selectmen, and then you can get it. And if you like what the BPC is recommending, we're off onto the next phase of this. If you don't, then we go back and we figure out a different location.
Or the geotech could determine that where it's potentially slotted right now or thought to be is not a good place, and so they're gonna say, oh, our best recommendation is over here because, which will help
That's right.
quiet the community.
That's right. And then we haven't even talked about traffic engineering yet, but we would want somebody to say, okay, turning radiuses, trucks, all of that's gonna work out just fine. And if it's right here by the 11th Street Bridge, it's still gonna work out. The turning radius is fine and it's not gonna hinder that.
Honestly, we also need somewhere for people to pull off and take pictures, because currently they stop in the middle of Argentine and get out of their cars, take a selfie. And like, while you sit there, you're like, I have somewhere to be, person.
So we should have a median so that they can stand safely in an island and have their stuff.
I mean, I don't care what
It's
it's called, but
selfie
it's,
stick.
We can have a-
I just can't.
Yeah, no, okay. So right now, what we're looking at is just this idea that we're gonna spend 10 plus maybe 50,000 looking at the geotech, the land surveys to figure out the
Yes.
location of this thing.
And
So
I
there's no motion we have to make.
No, it's information only, and I would like to have this all done so that you have these options in front of you before we start putting the budget together for next year, because that's where you're really gonna be allocating money.
And I think we need to, let the community know what's going on after you get that survey to find
Yeah.
out. Because, downtown business may say, we gotta have that.
Our SIPs agenda has this on there tomorrow night, like a little synopsis.
And I think
Which is
that
gonna
could
be
be
great.
just part of our information campaign and data gathering to find out what people are thinking.
Unless we need $50,000 for the gazebo.
it's gonna be expensive.
All right. Any other questions on this? Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Dennis, for that. The next agenda item number 3 is consideration of proposed amendments to the Georgetown Municipal Code 17-2100 concerning mobile food vendors. Dennis.
Thank you. This is also another BPC project. We presented this information to the BPC so that they could, because there's been quite a volume of voices on the mobile food vendor ordinance. And I was hoping that the BPC, when they met, they would either stick with what we've got, come up with some tweaks, or say, listen, we don't want mobile food vendors anymore in town. But they could not do that, so I'm giving this to you this evening so you can see what was written to the BPC to consider. And then formally request that they consider this at their June meeting and have a report back for your June 9th meeting.
So any questions on what Dennis provided in the packet?
No, we went through this process a couple of years ago, and we had a food truck down here on Sixth. And there was a lot of mixed feelings and all that, but there, in general, folks wanted to see more food trucks and availability in Georgetown, so. But folks gotta make up their minds, and are people gonna be selling food out of the Strauss Park? $25 a day rentals, I mean. That may have even more impact than a food truck or two.
I don't,
Down here.
I think that we have to let BPC do the heavy, I totally agree with you, I'm very vocal about this, and I say that as someone who is in this industry. We do not have food here, period, not even close, and it's not from an effort from the people we do have, but. I think we have to let BPC do their part on it, but I hope that they're able to do it with a lens of. Data and education, and I'm gonna trust that our BPC liaison here is going to help guide them.
Well, and the other question I think is just the length of time. You know, the ordinance we have says 10 days and 2 weekends, and then it was here 8 months. So
Right.
that is a question that's a different issue of whether there's a food truck. If there's a food truck, should it adhere to the ordinance? Now, Dennis and I have had this conversation, he has the discretion to say, hey, you know, I wanted to keep going, but does discretion turn into months or not? And I'm not putting it out for conversation, I'm just saying that is a consideration. I think that we have a food truck is, I mean, I don't think anybody, we know some people do, but not everybody does object to it. But we do have to look at the ordinance we have, and then from a BPC perspective, what does that mean? And that would be my only comment.
Like, there was a comment about the food truck that's, now there's 3 of them down in the other end of Idaho Springs. And the management of Carl's Jr. said it impacted me $1,800.
Well, they will impact
And
businesses, I mean, they will,
so.
yeah.
Would you rather support Carl's Jr. or local business?
Well, it depends.
Again, that
If you only
is one of
follow
the
the
considerations.
it's gonna bother you.
I just want to know, get some direction from the BPC,
Right.
where, where are you going?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because it seems like some of this stuff is good 1 month, and then the next month it's not. And it's hard to promote any kind of consistency.
The last BPC meeting met on a somewhat snowy day and they didn't have a quorum, and I don't know if that's the reason that everyone couldn't zoom in or not. But I just don't want this to not be addressed, so even though we can.
If BPC can't get it done next month, then we have to just take it.
So what's
Exactly.
BBC's
That's
responsibility is just,
They need to look at this ordinance and give us a recommendation in their role as VPC. On what they would like to see the ordinance reflect and where they think that there's consistency in issues. That would be,
And Dennis's memo
And
has some
also
ideas
smooth it out.
for
Yeah.
things that you can do, seasonally limited, special permits only. Add more money if you're gonna spend months here, you know, so this, I thought Dennis's recommendations were really good for solving or at least. Dealing with some of the issues that come up, so. That's what I would say, BBC needs to come back to us, sorry.
the bottom line is I have. People who've been here a long time, we have enough evidence to show, and you can look at our sales tax data to see in restaurants specifically. And that restaurants were doing more revenue and retail was doing more revenue when there was more restaurants. Like, I did more revenue. At when Silver Brick and Guanella Pass were
Well,
here.
for
That is,
sure.
I can say that
That's not a
unequivocally.
food
when
truck
they're
option, right?
that's right.
They are, but it's a, it's
Exactly.
an option,
That's
it's a food
right.
service.
Yeah.
I can say when Lucha's food truck was here, I was not impacted by that, you know, there's.
Food trucks have very special niche, but anyway, I think what we
Yeah.
wanna do is have BPC weigh in on this,
Exactly.
right?
But if they
to
can't
come
get it
back.
done, then we have to.
Yeah,
well, I
absolutely.
think BBC should not be influencing or setting policies
This is one,
against or for businesses. We're here to promote businesses and that's it.
Right, right. So
So,
when you look at this, and then BPC can say, hey, we like it the way it is, or we don't, or we need to add these things, or whatever.
we'll
and then-
bring it back here, but I mean, I think it's to the board here to
We're gonna have to do
Policy
that
is in.
ultimately.
Oh, yeah.
But ultimately,
That's
it'll be
absolutely
us.
correct.
So-
Any of these changes has to come from the board. of
So I wanna
Selectmen.
hear from them, and if there's a compelling enough argument,
Yeah,
but if it's just, I don't like it,
right.
probably not gonna buy that.
Historically, though, when we first put the food truck ordinance together,
We've, this
was-
is twice we've gone through it, really haven't.
right, but
This will be number 3.
there was a segment in here where the food trucks had to appear before BPC to have approval before they could proceed, before they could pass go and collect 200. So we're recognizing that BPC does have some voice in this.
We shouldn't,
Well, they did and they do. And,
I know.
and they may come back, this board has not always gone with the recommendations that have come from other commissions.
Yeah.
Not frequently,
I
but
think we
there
can
have been
tell from
occasions.
Business Promotions Board, obviously from anywhere outside of our community, will be put on a spit and over a fire.
Well,
If it
you
goes on
said that-
record,
so-
we're dictating what business can and cannot
So
do.
if you
But you're
come back
not,
and you
but you're
have
not
a
dictating.
hung jury on it, then we'll make the decision and it's off BPC's
Right.
back.
And we're gonna make a decision with data,
And this board has to make that decision.
not,
Yeah.
I just don't like.
I
next
feel
year.
it's certain.
No, and it has to be based on either we stick with the ordinance as it's written or we don't. And that's really, I think, that's how I see it.
Or if they refuse to weigh in on it, then we'll be weighing in on it on the 9th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a motion in the packet regarding a recommend to the BPC. Would anyone like to make that motion?
I will make that motion.
All
Okay,
right, Mike,
I was gonna say, that sounds like good for you,
all right.
like a hugging for money.
But very good.
I gotta make it, right here.
Alright. Okay, it is moved that the Board of Selectmen request the Business Promotions Commission. BPC review section 17.20.100 at the meeting in June. And provide a recommendation for the board's consideration on June 9th, 2026.
Thank you. Do you have a second?
Second.
All right, Alex, all those in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Any opposed? Thank you. All right, that's good. So we will wait to see what the BPC says, if anything. Action item number 4, consideration of a contract for services with AT&T for the provision of mobile phone services to town employees.
Okay, so, currently the town has, I think, 2 or 3 town issued cell phones. They're used by, water and sewer. So the issue now is that most employees are using their own personal phones for, doing business, which has a number of, challenges that are presented by that happening, including, being transparent with records retention. So if somebody were to come in and Cora information from somebody's phone, that could be a problem. Also, being able to have continuity of services within the organization. We had an instance where an employee left and passwords and user IDs they went away with that device and we had to start from scratch to, reactivate those. Those are just 2 issues. I tried to give you as many bullet point positives of doing, town supplied cell phones in the memorandum. Q went out and researched this and solicited quotes from 4 of the top providers in the area. He put that into a chart that you see included in your packet this evening. And the recommendation is to utilize AT&T for cell phone services. Q can go through the AT&T proposal in detail and answer any of your questions. But I wanted to point out before he did what the budget impact would be to that. The town, yes, thank you, almost scribbled.
Sorry.
No, it's okay, here, I'll swap you this one.
Thanks.
So the town budgeted, the Board of Selectmen budgeted $21,600 across all funds this year for the provision of cell phones, services and devices. And the budget impact from going with the AT&T proposal will be $5,996.16. But keep in mind that $59.96 will be split over 4 different funds.
Can I ask a question? I'm confused. The
Yeah.
staff recommendation is Verizon. Okay, so
Yeah.
the staff recommendation
I'm
is
sorry.
actually AT&T or
Sorry,
Verizon.
no, it's Verizon.
Okay,
Oh,
thank
okay.
you. Okay,
Well, because on the agenda it said AT&T, so
Yeah.
thank you, because I was about to question that.
okay, thank you.
So we're talking Verizon.
Yes,
So
that
we're
was.
saying
Verizon.
Verizon, all right.
So we're talking 11 lines.
Okay,
Mhm.
We already have 4.
3.
Three,
So we're talking, we will have 14.
yes.
Okay, so we're not.
15.
And we could have more. As soon as we get under contract with Verizon, if we have an employee to the group and we need another phone, we will just add that to the contract.
Okay, any questions on this? Amanda, did you have a question?
No,
I would like to see a policy written quickly. I realize the phones could be tomorrow, but that put some controls into place. I see great value in this. You know, we have employee turnover, we lose contacts and information and I don't work over anymore, kind of thing. So to me, that by itself is a standout for emergency use. But, you know, no one wants to be juggling a gazillion phones in your pockets or your purses, but we need a policy to control all the information and access.
Okay, I anticipated that. Here is a copy of the first of the page in the employee handbook having to do with cell phones. And it is pretty brief, so we're going to have to get to work on putting some more detail to that policy.
Like details,
Yep.
because this was written before a lot of the
Back when the
technology.
gazebo was constructed.
There you go.
so whatever that was.
Whatever that was.
And this would be a phone, for example, for the town administrator. So any town administrator would have that phone number. Right, so going forward, everyone in
So
town.
if you
I
have
think it's
a-
impossible to say that. I think that if I got a phone issued to me with a phone number, when I leave, when I retire in 15 years, I would turn that in. And then the town would decide what to do with it. It might be bad technology and it might go.
Well, for sure.
It's not the phone per se, it's
No.
the numbers,
Right.
so it's the information,
Yes,
contact.
exactly.
And not
Everything that's
deleting
associated
certain
with the number.
information, because we've
Right.
had that done with other, you know, pieces of technology where people are trying to wipe
That's right.
things clean and,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
all that. All the numbers.
We've said for years that, I mean, we've had other issues in the past that we shall not speak of. When about phone usage, I think this is a great thing, I think it protects the town, I think it protects you guys.
Well, and yeah,
No, I think
As
it's a
long
good
as you
idea.
Yeah.
appropriate
Yeah.
policy,
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
not, they're not used
so it's
inappropriately.
personal.
Don't make TikToks on it, unless you're gonna leave, then do make TikToks.
Exactly.
Right, Anne is the only one who can, or the events person, better to you.
Are we ready for a motion?
Yep, we are ready for a motion. Who would
It's
like
fine.
to-
Oh.
I have a couple of things.
Oh, sorry, Alex.
The Verizon 5G, I'm very surprised that it says no. I'm sure that Verizon, particularly with its cell towers along I-70, has access to 5G. Any thoughts?
I haven't seen 5G, however.
I have Verizon, I don't think I'm on LTE if I'm not on Wi-Fi. Here. I've had Verizon for,
But there will
I
be
do
times
too.
when we're using that phone when
Outside,
it's
yeah.
not, you're not stuck in Georgetown and you'll switch into 5G.
Correct. So when you go down the hill to Home Depot and you need to call Dennis and ask him permission to buy a couple more tires. Yes, you can connect that 5G when you're down the hill
Home Depot sells tires?
for trailer.
Or wheel
trackers. and wheelbarrow.
Did you have another?
Yes. Could we actually have consecutive numbers, 1 through 14 or whatever it is? As opposed to having higgledy-piggledy numbers.
oh, you mean like the phone numbers?
Typically,
Yeah.
typically people don't punch phone numbers in anymore. They've got it pre-programmed, so they just hit Dennis's name or Mary's name or,
We pre-program them.
Right.
yeah.
Who the hell type of sticker is not allowed to.
So we could ask that, Alex, if you'd like,
Yes.
but at the moment, I'm not sure it would be one of those things that we would change our mind on Verizon, right?
So is there any position in town staff that is not being issued a cell phone at this time under this?
Yes. Yes, so we have a couple of seasonals that will not receive the mobile phones.
Okay.
That, there's two, I think, if I'm
We
right.
have a part-time and we have a seasonal part-time.
Okay,
I would say, I'll just point, I mean, at least if you had the same prefix, it just look more professional enough.
oh yeah, all three of them are also, yeah.
The,
Well, even the, yeah,
I can't.
you know, like the 569 piece of the town staff, I don't know
Yeah.
what to call that number anymore, it is a prefix.
The exchange,
Not the
the
area.
area
Yeah,
code, the
yeah.
exchange, and then the number,
Yeah,
I would be surprised if the prefix wasn't
720.
well,
No,
that's
978.
area.
303.
Yeah.
569.
Yeah. I'd be shocked. if
We
it
get a lot of
was.
scam calls.
I don't think there's any 303s left. I think it's all 721.
No, you can get through these then.
What, really?
These people are driving the landlines, left, right.
I don't think we have-
Yeah, I mean.
I guess I thought we were 303, and if you went down the hill a little bit, then you ran into 720.
No,
Oh, no, 303 is coveted here.
Oh.
I would, I
You should
should.
make-
The area code is,
Yeah.
yeah,
it's the last 4 digits,
Yeah.
they should be consecutive.
I'm too.
Well, I don't know if we can pull that off, that'd be awesome, but at least the
No,
first
yeah.
three. Yeah.
Whatever we can do.
970.
See what we can do on that.
yeah, so let's,
Hey, Sean, spell something cool.
I'll bring it back to you for reapproval if I can't get the exact numbers.
any other questions on this? There's a motion in your packet, would someone like to make the motion?
It is moved, the Board of Selectmen authorize the town to enter into a service contract with Verizon Wireless.
Thank you, second, did I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Alex, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, cell phones for all, with sequential numbers if possible. All right, agenda item number 5 is the Georgetown support of the Child Care Scholarship Pool.
Okay, you all remember this? Kerfluffle. That happened. Yeah, and so Georgia and I met with Colton and Jody, and we talked about this a little bit, and the simple fix to this, which Georgetown has never been opposed to, but was never approached about, was that to continue to have Georgetown residents available to receiving scholarships from the pool, that we would offer up a contribution, and the formula that we came up with was based on population to try to keep it simple. So Colton sent us some numbers. And you see that chart reflected in the memorandum that shows that Georgetown represents 12% of the county. And so a quick 12% application to their proposed budget came out with 11,303. He also provided us information, we gave you this lodging tax split 2026 presentation that they had that shows who received what and what the funding has been over time. And Georgetown residents received scholarships in the amount of $24,180 during the last award cycle. So if you compare that to what our contribution is, it's a little over a 2-to-1 return on investment, which is a good thing. So we think this is a worthwhile investment in the scholarship pool and the collaboration with the county. We have allocated $30,000 for childcare support in the current budget. So this would reduce that down to a little over $19,000 that is left, which pretty much lines up with what GCS has asked for potential assistance for the year. So budget wise, we're good too.
If I could also add on, I asked, I pulled numbers because I was being curious, and it's like $150 discrepancy on what GCS says that they got, which is minor. But they also, from the scholarship fund, George, and again, this is specific to GCS families, which does not necessarily mean that they are Georgetown families. They also have an additional $23,646 awarded to families this summer for summer care, which is the rec centers program and the new little person program, because up until this year, your child had to be 5 to go to summer camp, and now they have a 3 and 4-year-old option, which they've never had before. So it's even more.
That's awesome.
So who's the entity that's actually getting these funds?
Schools Foundation.
EECL, Early Education, Childhood Learning or something like that.
It's being managed through the Schools Foundation.
Yeah,
And do we have faith that that's a solid foundation?
yes. I'm on the board. I sat on this group last year and we all came up with this whole group of how do we decide who merits this? It's on needs. Do you live in Clear Creek County or work in Clear Creek County? So all of this data was split a lot of different ways, and it is a solid foundation. Georgetown last year, we thought we donated to the scholarship fund. We didn't because we gave the money to the GCS school, and that was just a confusion of data and whatnot, but this year we want to actually contribute to this scholarship fund specifically, which other municipalities are donating through their lodging tax. So this is also part of that lodging tax discussion.
So what services does the foundation provide?
They provide scholarships to kids wanting to go to who that need childcare. After
Just
school or
summer
summer.
school?
Or is it- no, after school too. It's after school care. Right?
So the
Yes.
Schools Foundation has, like, they have kind of a multifaceted approach. The big thing is they've been focusing on early childhood. And then they also have some other projects that relate to capital construction. Primarily, those projects were taking place at Carlson, Idaho Springs, and the expansions that took place when they moved Carlson from the old building to the new building and trying to retrofit that building to be accommodating to a younger.
But that's separate from the scholarships.
Correct, so
Right.
this specific ask is for the scholarships.
For childcare.
Exactly, and so I sometimes, yeah, I did a lot of research on it, and I think this is a really worthy investment because the downside is they will exclude every kid within 8044 from the scholarships, and then we do have, well, we could obviously bandage the Georgetown community school need. If we have students that are going into other programs, it would hurt them, and I don't think that's fair. And they've invested $40,000 into 8044, and we would be putting $11,000, so I think that's a fair ask. The Schools Foundation scholarship, I mean, I think in this moment, this is a good investment. If there's a continual ask in perpetuity, I would definitely want to take that conversation with a different approach as to how that money would be managed. But I think this 11,000 serves a good benefit for the community.
But this money is given to the county who distributes it to the scholarship, or?
They
is it
distribute it to
directly
the
foundation?
entities, so if it's a student in and I'm specifically speaking on
That's fine.
preschool. If it's a student that's attending Carlson or King Murphy, that money is going to CCSD. If the student's attending Georgetown's program, that money is going to Georgetown.
Who are we writing the check to?
Clear Creek, the Schools Foundation, the
EECL.
So we're writing this directly to the foundation.
And then
Yes.
they're in turn.
And they give it
handling
directly to the
pass.
childcare program, not to their families.
Yeah.
Right, so even though it's when we say it's the county scholarship program, it isn't being funneled through Clear Creek County government to this foundation or this organization.
The reason the commissioners are involved, and I apologize if I'm over speaking because you guys were mayors and commissioners this morning, so please correct me if I'm wrong, is that the county is doing the bulk of the support for the Schools Foundation financially.
Right. Also, it's lodging tax.
And it's a lot, exactly.
So it's the portion of lodging tax that goes to the childcare scholarship program. Since we don't contribute to that lodging tax county pool, we don't have a piece being donated to the scholarship fund. That's why we're doing this separately. Now, other municipalities give on top of that. So Idaho Springs is giving an additional 5,000 and
They used to.
they used to, but this year they're having a budget function, they're not. So last year they did. Thank you for that.
So the other entities in the county are contributing through the lodging tax that
Correct.
goes through the county and then
Correct.
gets
That's
dispensed.
correct.
We are going to be giving the check directly to the foundation.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. I verify. No, thank you. Those are all good questions. We want to understand this for a lot of different reasons. Any other questions on this?
We allocated 39 in the budget. What are we going to be doing with the rest of the money outside of the 11,303?
Well,
So-
Dennis just spoke to that, yeah.
You heard from the GCS, they came to you. When was this?
January.
January, and they asked for support in the amount of
20 grand.
20,000. But they also said, whatever you can give to us to help support these things. And we also went through a legal review with Jerry about how the town probably is not a good idea to give money to school districts to support wages and teachers and things. It has to be focused on something that's like brick and mortar. And so we cleared that up as well. The $20,000 that we had planned for that is in the budget, but we're eating just a little bit into that to get to this 11,303, which I don't think is gonna be a problem. I talked with one of the people last night about this whole thing on the phone, and she was completely fine with what this structure is.
Do we feel that the foundation adequately supports Georgetown Community School and the programs that they offer that fit within the scholarship?
So that this, Amanda mentioned the childcare, we have kids who benefited to the tune of $25,000 roughly.
I have
Just,
9 so I have some
Yeah.
statistics too that I got from them, 9 families, this is in the 25-26 school year. Received scholarships and a total of 10 students received families, so 9, and so there's
Yeah.
obviously a family that's got 2 kids. And then the duration, the current residents of the students who received scholarships. 8 were Georgetown residents and 2 are unincorporated county residents. So, and those 8 families would be cut out. The unincorporated families would not.
But so this enhances the programming that
Correct.
Georgetown, which we're not, even though we've penciled in 20 grand for Georgetown and 11 for here, we're not taking away opportunities within the funds that we
That's correct.
allocated.
Actually, what we're doing is we're continuing the current service level.
Yeah.
If we don't pay this, then the county will take away
The opportunity.
awarding any scholarships to Georgetown residents.
Right.
But I also want to everybody be clear on what this is. The town has no say in how the allocation happens on an annual basis. So last year, we were fortunate, we got double it. We actually got $24,000 worth of scholarships without paying into the fund. But next year, if they decide that the students that should get the scholarships might only be $6,000 for Georgetown residents. You don't have a say in that, but at the end of the year, when you get the report that says we only got 6,000, we might say, we're not giving any more next year. I don't know. This is kind of like let's see how the year turns out and then make a decision whether we want to keep doing this. This is not a vote tonight to say, from now on forever, we're always gonna be giving this.
Right.
I would also caveat too that Georgetown Community School is the only operating entity in the entire county with an 18-month to 3-year-old.
I was just gonna say that.
And so
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's, that program is invaluable and this will be its 4th year. And no, I have not heard, I obviously can't speak to that. I missed the last EUCL meeting, but I don't think that there's any programming on the horizon for an 18 to 3-month-old
There isn't.
outside of Georgetown.
There isn't, and people
So
talk about that.
so supporting that program, supporting the scholarships is supporting that program. It's the cost to send your student full-time is $980 a month. With a $200 enrollment fee. Well, that is very it's not a lot of money in the scheme of daycare. That is a huge chunk of change for local families and I would hate to see us. I'm super supportive of this tonight because I think we gotta do that.
I am too.
And then, but again, if we have stuff that comes up in perpetuity, I think we have to look at it very carefully, but this moment it's a good investment.
So does this scholarship program support any of the kids, or can it support any of the kids in the Georgetown early program?
Yeah, so
That's what it
I
does.
have the statistics here that I can, so 9 families, 4 were in the toddler room and 6 were in the pre-K room.
So they turned down any families? Did anyone apply for a scholarship because funds weren't available?
Yes. yes,
A
there,
lot?
No,
I'm
not a
aware,
lot,
I'm
but-
aware of two.
yeah.
Okay, and
But
I
there
don't
are-
care if it's Georgetown or anywhere.
Yeah, there
in the county,
are.
I'm
No,
not
the need
asking
is
for specifics
huge
of
and
that.
there were people turned away. And so this need is obviously super clear. And as Amanda's really pointed out with a lot of data too, there's a need here and we want our kids to remain available. Now, again, as Dennis also pointed out, in the future, who knows? Maybe it could change. Maybe we look at the awards this year and we go, wow, that didn't really work out. But I think it's really important for our families and our workers to have this. So I don't know if that
No, I-
answers your question,
I
but
wanna
yeah.
make sure that, you know.
Yeah, that's,
We're
that it's
supporting
good.
our own, but I also,
Absolutely,
yeah,
we are.
you know, it's.
Without this, we're not supporting our own. Let's put it that
Absolutely,
way.
and to that point, you know, this enhances the very fact that we want to attract young families. Particularly families with kids and so on,
Right.
you know, I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Any other discussion or comments, Amanda, Mike, Dwayne, anything? Okay, well, there's, let's see, a motion in your packet regarding this $11,000 donation. Would someone like to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Alex.
It is moved that the Board of Selectmen approve a contribution of $11,303 for the Clear Creek County Scholarship Pool for 2026.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mike. Those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you very much. Thank you. That is great to have that support. So I want to thank the board for doing that. Very important. Okay, our last action item, agenda item number 6. This is a letter of support. Dennis, did you want to speak about this?
I think the memorandum is pretty self-explanatory, and so is the sample letter of support that the county has sent to us. I just want to make a special note that the town is not committing to any funding of anything or.
But you can excuse me.
Sorry.
Exactly what I just said is in my notes.
I got some, I didn't wanna take it away.
So I wanted to point to the quote from the letter of support that what the town is, in addition to this letter of support, what the town is saying that they are committing to is contributing to planning conversations, sharing information, local knowledge, helping connect the county with the people we serve, and also coordinating with the plan as it takes shape. And then one thing I would add, this SS4A, my experience has always been something that helps when you're trying to lobby for federal funding for large road projects, especially if they're safety oriented projects. And so I would recommend that you offer up and give Georgia the authority to sign this letter of support.
Any comments or questions on that? There's a motion in your packet. Would someone like to make that motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Alex.
It is moved that the Board of Selectmen approve the letter of support and authorize Police Judge Burford to sign on behalf of the town.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Amanda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. All right, very good. I will sign that letter. So now we get on to reports. I had a quick report. The Preservation Partners met on the 2nd at the Hotel de Paris. It was really a great meeting. So many partners were there, lots of great information shared, but it was also great to be in a meeting at the Hotel de Paris, which is often not a place we get to meet. And I would suggest people try to remember it for future meetings. Dennis and Bob Hamilton and Kasia and I were involved in the DOLA grant presentation for money regarding the library remodel. Kasia did a great job. Wonderful presentation. Because of the weather, we did it on Zoom, so we didn't have to drive down to Canyon City, which was okay. But that was well done. I'm sure you're going to talk about that. We had a great s'mores last weekend when Cooper's was the sponsor. Over 100 people, 100 s'mores packets were given out and s'mores made. So it was unbelievable. People were waiting at 3 o'clock for everything to start. They were waiting, they were poised. So the wine went over, how many bottles of wine? 11 bottles of wine? Yeah, a dozen. So it was really a wonderful big hit. So really encourage anybody, once they decide that they're going to support something, this town comes out, people came out. We had so many people from not here.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it was really
Yes.
cool to see the number of people who were like, just
Absolutely.
passing through, and they were so tickled. It was
Yes.
super fun.
And every time I do s'mores, whether it's 30 people or, 100, there's just so many visitors who are like, oh, this is so charming. I feel like I'm in a Hallmark card. It's absolutely wonderful. So that was happy news this morning at the mayor's and commissioners meeting. Again, Kasia, Dennis and I were there. lots of discussion. One of the things the county is looking at is raising their lodging tax from 2% to 6%. And apparently there's a statute that will allow them to, would allow anyone to spend that increase in lodging tax revenue on more than simply housing, childcare, and tourism. So there was a lot of discussion about that, and you can imagine people were going, and Georgetown, what are you gonna do? So we just listened, and that was very interesting, but you're gonna definitely be seeing that. We do not have to follow the county, obviously, we collect our own lodging tax, and we can decide on our own what we want to do, et cetera, et cetera. So that is my report. So, let's see, town attorney, we don't have Jerry here today. Let's go with, the Board of Selectmen. Dwayne, we'll start with you.
We have our next meeting on Monday, unless, yeah, that would be our first meeting this month, so,
Is that for housing?
for
Yeah.
housing, sorry.
No, great, thank you. So you're meeting Monday with your new director? Yeah.
We only have one meeting now.
Yeah, I'm meeting in Monday, great.
Woo-hoo. All right, Amanda.
We had our parks meeting on Thursday night. Dennis, we got some very valuable information about some of the projects that are on the radar and helped give
Oh, good.
some tools to help facilitate some RFPs and things of that nature. Obviously, we talked about the gazebo. That was probably our most robust topic of conversation. And then there's a lot of other, smaller projects in the works as far as like conversations, that are being done, skate park, study, pizza park. There's some work groups, so yeah, that's it for parks. And then just on a side note, on Thursday, it is fishing day for the community school. A rousing tradition in Georgetown that occurs every year, so get your fishing poles out. Get them lined up. So the 3rd through 6th graders, spend a day at the lake and do
Oh,
a
that's fun.
Colorado Parks and Wildlife actually comes out and brings fish pit. A couple years ago, they donated a pole for every kid at Georgetown Community School.
Wow.
So,
Donated.
they donated a fishing rod for every, yeah,
And gear.
yeah,
Oh,
so
my
yes.
goodness. What are the hours for this?
They'll walk down about 10 and they will come back about 2.
Okay.
So everyone's welcome to stop by, catch a hook in the eye, don't walk because they're kind of erratic, the kids, but. And then there's a lot of year-end activities coming up for the community school. There's gonna be field day. We've already had the talent show. So just be watching for the kids to be out and about in the neighborhoods doing stuff. There's gonna be some volunteerism and things like that. So that's kind of the 2 things that I had to report on.
Well, thank you.
What was the third roof design, out of
Oh,
curiosity?
yeah.
I mean, it was kind of like kind of a hybrid of the 2, but it was really like triangular, not in a good way. It was very, I mean, nobody picked it.
It was a cupola, it was the cupola option, but only with 5 roof panels.
That was.
Oh, 5 sides instead of.
I
two.
can't describe it very well, because clearly I was like, I don't like you. Everyone really narrowed in on like so in our meeting, it was 1 and 3, so I'm still in my head calling them 1 and 3, so the one that we're looking at. That everyone leaned towards was actually the 3rd option. But it was, the discussion was pretty straightforward that was the vibe everybody was after, so. Yeah, no, it was super fair question, but nobody on Parks liked it, so it doesn't matter.
So that was it. Thank you. All right, Mike.
We got sitting with
Oh, yeah.
yeah, we have a coach on that, so that's gonna be tomorrow. 5 to 7 over at Clear Creek Inn, where we get to,
5 to 7? Yeah. That's right.
We moved it after, we did 5 to 7, right?
I thought they were doing 5 to 6 and you guys were 6 to 8.
Look at our poster. What did we say?
Sorry.
6 to 8 now.
6 to 8, yeah, we
6 to
did
8,
move it
okay.
because of oh crap. What's our poster say? Our poster says 5 to 7. We'll be there from 5 to whatever.
yes,
You did edit it?
Yes.
We'll show up at 5.
okay, good, alright.
Because they're doing the meet.
We
with
were
the-
trying not to be on top,
That's
except
right, I did that.
the police are 4 now,
Well,
aren't
they
they?
were 5 to 6. Didn't they move from?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the.
Everything
5 to
shifted.
6, and then 6 was 6 to 8.
We'll be there at
6 to 8.
5.
whatever.
Yeah.
They'll all
We'll
be,
show up at
Well,
5.
I'll be
Yeah,
there and
yeah.
they'll all be somewhere.
We'll be there like doing our sipping thing, making sure people are cool. We'll do our formal presentations closer to 6.
That sounds great. I'll be there also. I'll go meet the. Whoever.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. Mike, anything else?
Bye.
BPC is going well. Obviously, you have your marching orders.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Alex. Okay, thank you, and Rich,
No report, they meet next week.
thank you, and Mary.
No report, I don't mean at all.
Whoa, okay, very good, thank you. So, I kind of got out of order, but we don't have a town attorney report. Staff reports, town clerk, Bridget, would you like to start?
Yeah. So you have my report. The other thing that I have been working on is doing sending out a couple of notice letters to the Freeport Crossing apartments. To let them know that they can't operate short-term rentals, and then additionally, I reached out to Verbo and Airbnb to figure out the best path forward for getting all the addresses of operational short-term rentals in town, so we can cull the ones that don't have permits.
So I just learned something really valuable, and you might already know this, so if I'm being redundant. Apparently now, because of a state bill, if we know of a violation, if you report it to the Airbnb or Verbo or whoever, they are required to remove their listing from those platforms.
That's
Oh, that's
I
good.
just learned that information yesterday.
Nice.
So if
That's
there's
good.
if we are aware of someone who's violating for any reason, you have to do some legwork with Airbnb to establish your authority at our town. clerk.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm at with them now.
Yeah,
Like,
and then-
why would we share information with you?
But once they have that, they are legally required to remove the listing from any of their platforms
Great,
by
That's
state law.
interesting. Yeah.
that will make our lives easier.
No
Just to
kidding.
clarify, where you say the notice letters were sent to owners of Bighorn Apartments, do you really mean the original apartments, or are you referring to Lakeview Flats?
Safe one.
Okay, but
They're
the three buildings that have been there for a couple of years, those addresses.
yes.
And so they've been renting, they've been short-term in some of their apartments.
We're, based on intel from people that live there, there's suspect that there are rentals operating, and so we just sent out a general reminder letter that, hey, you guys can't do this. And
To the management company?
no, to the individual property owners of each apartment.
So each apartment building is owned by a separate,
Wait, are we talking apartment buildings? or
It's
are we talking about-
apartment
No, we're
units.
talking about the units. Each
Yeah.
unit,
Apartment.
the owner of each unit has received a letter saying, if you're operating rentally, you're not allowed to, per the town code. And if you are, you have to cease. If you don't, these are the consequences.
but those apartments are managed by. They're not owned individually, they're rentals,
It's the condos,
so it's not the Bighorn Apartments. It's not
it's the condo units that are up against the lagoon.
So,
so that
Yeah, I
the
have-
town,
This is not apartment.
I have intel
I understand,
that
okay.
there are people moving in and out, moving in and out, moving in and out, so we just sent out a reminder to
In
those.
units similar to the one that you reside in.
Correct,
So
Okay,
not the apartments, the townhomes.
yes.
Okay.
because they've changed the names so many times in
Yes.
Bighorn, so that's what I'm.
Yeah,
I know. This is
So I
confusing.
just collected all the address numbers. and
Yeah.
Asked Bridget to do that and she did.
Okay, so the townhouses or whatever that are on the
Yes.
lake, those are the ones that you sent us, okay.
And we also looked on VRBO and there was one property that was advertising on VRBO,
Wow.
one of the condos.
Okay. But the rental apartments, whatever addresses those are,
And some of those are actually the hospitality units still, and
right,
Bridget,
those are like your flats.
No, the
No.
hospitality units are totally
town-
separate from the most recent development, they're closer to the hotel.
and the hotel actually was operating one, or still is.
So that's a whole complicated thing, if you remember, we removed the two deed restrictions from
Right.
those two folks earlier this year. But there's still a couple that have that deed restriction in place.
The entire property, that entire parcel. Is can't short term.
Right, correct,
So the names change to protect.
right.
We think
And then there's an HOA that's in the middle of all that too.
Yeah.
We tried to be candid on this, we just, because I wanted to take the approach that maybe they didn't know.
Oh, it's a good start. Maybe they did. Yeah,
Yeah.
good, thank you. Any other questions for Bridget, or Bridget, thank you, any other comments you'd like to make? All right, thank you very much. Marketing and Events Manager, Annalie Berner. Nice to have you here.
The pocketbook is in the design phase, and that was the design committee's phase, so that is, they have all of our content, we are moving forward with that. Event planning. Jacob Woods from Box 31 will be hosting our Colorado Day event, so he will be actually out and about in Georgetown for Memorial Day, just spending some personal time up here. And then he also will be spending the day, he'll be stuck with me for a day in June, so we'll do some content with him, stuff like that, so events are moving forward. Other than that, we're really moving forward on the marketing initiatives and the communications plans. We've got some campaigns that should be rolling out. We do have a campaign in a couple of local businesses right now where we have cards for community members and visitors to write notes to service members at the VA hospital or their families. Obviously, Memorial Day has a little bit different meaning than a lot of veteran initiatives, and so we really want to make sure that Georgetown is making an effort to connect with those families, or anybody that is sacrificing at the VA hospital right now.
Great, thank you.
What about the communications plan? And unsolved. Where are we with that?
With Onsolve, is that what you're saying? Yeah.
There's a glitch.
Yes.
There was a security breach for Onsolve clients recently, and so Anna's working through that to see what Onsolve is doing to respond to that. Thankfully, we don't have anybody signed up for it yet, so we're not involved.
Turns out to be a good thing.
But before we move forward, we want to have some kind of reassurance from Onsolve that they have handled this and they've corrected it. If they haven't, then we will probably come back and recommend to you that we remove ourselves from that service and get our refund.
Are they open to giving us said refund?
They are already experiencing quite a few client departures. So we don't want to go to that point yet until we find out what they're doing to respond to the breach. And if the response is satisfactory to us and we feel protected, then we'll continue moving forward. If not, then we're gonna insist that we get a refund.
But that breach isn't anything new. I mean, from what I recall, it was a few months ago. I mean, where do we stop? We've already sent them the check.
Right.
And how long are we going to wait for them to resolve their security issues?
We don't know until we actually get from them what their response is going to be.
And
We don't have those details
is
yet.
there a communication from them that they're saying that they're trying to update this and it's supposed to be all fixed and entered by June 1st?
That's what we're waiting.
Okay, so
I was gonna say, I did speak to them today. Their approach with the breach, the breach was done on an older system that they were actively trying to move everybody to at the time that it happened in November. That is one of the reasons why a lot of the municipalities who have opted to find way out of their contract have found that way out of their contract is the lack of response from Onsolve. Onsolve's basis for how they responded was that they didn't want to cause more public concern in each municipality than what was warranted. It was, like I say, an older system, it was names and emails that had the potential to be exposed and shared. And so now our approach with this is getting those hard facts of where the security lines are, what improvements have been made. And they are working on putting that together for us so that we can ensure that we have a public perception that any program that we use for communications, for code enforcement, anything is secure for our residents. And so once we have that data, and I have it all in writing, like I say, a conversation is one thing, but I want to make sure that we're following through and getting the details from them in writing.
then we will evaluate from there, but right now we're kind of in the process of them reassuring us verbally, but I wanna make sure everything's in writing first.
And we have a 1-year contract with them, right?
We renew annually.
But again, so how much investment are we going to put in time? If, even if they say, oh, all is good. We brought up where we would like other systems researched. So at some point, we're gonna say, we don't want you working on that in August for 4 months.
Right.
Because we're getting the heck away from us.
Yes, I will do that. But there is a reasonableness that we want to give towards this to make sure we're making a wise decision. I will just share with you now that the whole success of this system depends upon people's trust in us. And if our information is not safe or there's a perception, then they won't sign up for it and it becomes not a very advantageous system for us. So the way we're leaning right now internally is, I don't know if we can overcome that with Onsolve, but we're gonna give them a chance, and if they can do that in quick order, then we're gonna keep moving forward, because we have a lot that we wanna roll out with Onsolve. We wanna take advantage of this. How much was it? $6,400? What was the annual renewal?
It's not that much.
No, it was, I thought it was like 1,300 or
It's like
something.
12.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we don't want that money to just go for nothing, so.
Well,
And it's hard for me to say I'm gonna pull the plug next Friday. But we're not gonna keep letting this, linger. We wanna resolve it so that we can then, we'd rather put our resources toward finding a new system if we choose that.
so we're thinking, what, maybe a month for them to figure this out?
Not even that.
Okay, so in some weeks, we should have an understanding, like maybe by our next board meeting, we would have an understanding,
Hopefully, yeah.
hopefully. And if not, we can decide to set them on fire.
Right.
That's it, that was an extreme, not a police judge, but okay.
Well, I mean, well, you know, sometimes.
I'm worthy.
As long as notice goes out to everyone first, so that they know that this is just a drill.
Yeah.
So one other question, I don't know, Anna, if this is your answer, or if this is yours, so. Memorial Day weekend, Saturday, the borough race, the route is different. How are we notifying our residents?
Right.
Because they're, they may not have paid attention in the past and it never bothered them, other than seeing them trot down my street a week or so ago with the little girls in training, which is always really cute. But, what are we doing for that?
What's the main difference?
What's the
They're
main
not
difference?
going over Empire anymore, they're going down towards Saxon, but
Well,
after
that's a
that.
great segue. I'm so glad you asked that question, sir. I'd love for the town to be able to answer that.
And thank
Go ahead,
you.
answer that.
The route used to go over Union Pass,
Right.
this year they're going up Main Street, they're gonna be in all the way through town. Main Street down to, I believe it's Clear Creek, and then onto the Lake Trail, right? Yeah.
Something like that.
They're not leaving town anymore, which is good because. There's a lot of volunteer hours to, every time a borough comes through, it's a 4-man job to get them under the bridge. Like you have to have 4 people in 4 positions, closing all of the egress.
Yeah. So will the new route be posted to, Mary's question, will that be posted somewhere just so people see it?
Or something along the way? How are we notifying?
We're very good at communication, and yes, we will do that.
Thank you.
Yes, we are excellent at it. To my own horn.
So are they, when they go down Main Street, are they turning on Clear Creek Drive to run along the creek? Or are they staying on Main Street and running the upper section of the?
Or do we even
nice
know
little
what the
skate
new
park?
borough race is?
They have
And then
submitted
they
a
go
route
down.
to us.
Okay,
They're
they
asking
have.
us to recall it from memory and.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. So maybe if that can be put out on some kind of social, just so people know. Is that what you're asking?
I'm asking for a lot more than just social, because people along Main Street, Clear Creek Drive, are gonna, and how
They're
we're
gonna know.
doing traffic.
I think
Or
that-
how are we stopping people from running into the boroughs and going the wrong way, just, and I'm assuming they're turning around and coming back. And they straggle when they come back, they're all great going out, and then they straggle coming back. So, I just would like a plan before a plan. Thank you. Question
Thank you.
done.
Thank you. All right, very good. Well, thank you. Anything else, Annalee, that you want to note on your report?
No.
Okay,
It's nice to see you though.
so moving on to Q Treasurer's report, you have that report in your packet. And you also have the short-term rental tax revenue summary that was handed out. Take it away, Q.
Nothing that I had on those that for the short-term legal tax summary is Q1 26. And would like to take in, I'm not gonna read it to everybody. But you had a question. You can reach out.
So when you're doing a compliance audit, how are we faring with that? Are they in compliance? Do we have the majority who aren't? Maybe it's buried in this, that's the revenue report. What is that? What does that look like and how is that going? And where are we with that?
It's Bridget's looking at the Bighorn people, there are Bighorn numbers coming in, of people reporting that they had sales tax that they paid. Or not sales tax, SDR tax. It's finding people who are listed as an SDR, but aren't reporting anything.
So how many
Is there a
percentage
percentage of
investigations do we have open in that area?
See. In Ward 1, there's 81% of people of STRs are being utilized. Ward 2, 54%. Ward 3, 94%. So 18 out of 19 are being used in Ward 3, 6 out of the 11 in Ward 2. I think it's 8 or 9 in Ward 1. So
But
there's,
that's like, those are people who are actually using their STRs for STRs. Right? Is that what we're saying that percentage is? That's not an out of compliance number.
that's people who are renting at least
Yeah, so much of the year.
the 2 weeks out of the year.
Okay. But compliance is, so when you do a compliance audit, are you looking at, oh, and you're paying us your revenue, or oh, and you're complying with the rules, or what is that compliance audit about?
Even if people don't rent if they go a month and they don't rent anyone, they're still supposed to turn in a $0.
Okay, so,
But if I have 12 $0
right,
tax returns, they're not in compliance.
gotcha, okay, thank you. Sorry, Mary, I stepped on your question.
Those are questions that I'm wanting to have answers for too. So are the registered rentals regularly turning, if there's zero rental that month, are they turning in those documents? Are you getting those consistently?
Yes,
So they're complying in that regard.
they're complying and that they're filing, but they're not renting at least.
That's interesting.
And
about if we give you a report?
pardon?
How about if we give you a full report on all that on the 26th?
That'd be good.
Okay.
What's BNM?
That's what I was just gonna ask, what's BM?
Tracking sales tax compliance for BNM.
Rick,
And what's up?
Okay. Oh, yeah, that term.
I'm sorry, what was it?
There's more than
Brick and mortar.
Oh,
Or if you say it really fast, it sounds like something else.
I was voting for you to go there.
So how is that tracking sales tax compliance for brick and mortar? What action do we take when they don't comply?
send them to the state to be audited.
After what kind of time frame? 3 months, quarterly, semi-annually? 2 days?
Depends on how often they are supposed to be. If your sales revenue is up high enough, you're reporting every month. If it is not, then you're broken down into quarterly, semi-annually, or annually.
Okay,
so it depends on when their reports are due.
I'm a monthly filer.
But you just make so much money.
Megan doesn't pay for 3 months, then she's hiding something potential. Hypothetically speaking.
Because there's an observation piece to this too, right?
Yeah.
Because we can tell just from the names of the companies that come through on the report that we never see them open or conducting business, and they are probably one of those semi-annual or annual filers.
So like my aunt's company, which I spent 3 hours today. Decommissioning was an annual filer.
There you go.
So her revenue was low, so it took the state a year to catch up with the fact she hadn't filed. So I just started getting notices on her company about 4 months ago.
No, and I think it's
Yeah.
great that we're doing that, because there was a time a few years ago that we had,
Tons of
we had,
delinquencies.
yeah, and I would even call them delinquent. They were
Well,
beyond
Oh,
delinquent.
And that is the big red flag for us too, that Q hasn't mentioned. If we have a filer that is delinquent, all of a sudden they pay off what they should have been paying for 3 months, they go right on our list automatically, because that's not a good sign
We
either.
have a watch list, I love it. No, but I'm glad to
Where's
hear that
CSI?
we're taking that kind of action.
Oh, me too, it's great.
So, okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Q. Assistant Town Administrator, Ms. Hart.
Hello, you have my report. The only couple things I thought I would add is that I did send someone a bill today for their Tappan development fees, the new one, so yay.
There was these?
The Tappan development
Oh,
fees
okay.
for our new house. So they got that bill, they weren't super happy about it, but that's okay, that's just how it goes. So-
Everybody from Georgetown.
Yeah, that's true. They're gonna have a beautiful house down by the lake, so it's gonna be great. And. Yeah, Todd was supposed to let us know an update on the grant on Friday. And we followed up with him on Monday, and he said there were some questions, not about our application, but about the process that they had to answer. The panel was having a hard time, so he would know something by midweek. So. Those are the
That's
only-
exciting.
Yeah. Hopefully, I think our project is good, and like Georgia said, I think the presentation went well. We had 2 people that were on the panel that were like, oh man, we've been to the Georgetown Town Hall, it's awful, I can't believe you're still there.
And that was 15 years ago when they were here. That was great.
So,
Perfect intro for Keisha's presentation.
yeah.
Do we have security concerns with our water sewer department security software, or is that just a regular upgrade, considering we were just talking about unsolved and security issues?
We have a software provider over there that I frankly have never interacted with. Ryan was talking to them. I know Aaron was talking to them a bit. Ryan was hesitant to upgrade certain things that Axiom has identified and does want to upgrade. As you probably know, water facility treatment plants are a hotspot target for potential public threats. And so we want to make sure that those systems are secure.
Congratulations to you and you and you and whoever else on your award for 14th.
Well, that's just for open loop shelter, so it's a good thing now.
Congratulations.
I had that on my list to report.
Well, it's on hers too.
Scratchy, scratchy.
Who gets credit for it, you know?
Thank you, Keisha.
Mhm.
All right, and Dennis.
Just to finish that thought, Amanda, we also want to point out that Jamie is being recognized too. She
Yes.
really did a lot of work to open up the community center and
You good?
on both occasions, both projects.
Maybe some of the electors.
Yes.
Yeah.
indeed.
The award ceremony in Strauss Park maintenance has been ongoing. You'll notice that we did replace some of the dead grass in the islands there. Also, Kevin has identified there's a pine tree in the Strauss Park parking lot that is dead. And I was told that there is a history to that.
Is that the one up against the apartment building?
Yes.
That we talked about taking down when we did the parking lot?
Yep, that's the
And,
one.
oh no, save the tree, okay,
Yes, that's the story I got too.
okay.
So I think we're getting close right now, and we are going to at some point have to remove that tree, which also gives us the opportunity to reclaim some parking spaces there with that tree gone. So more to come on that, but I just wanted you to know, if you see us milling about that tree, that's what we're doing. We're
Why
planting
is the
it
tree
to us.
historic? I'm sorry.
It's not historic,
Oh.
we thought it was dead and we had Lamb come up and evaluate it and they said, it's not dead actually, so we didn't cut it down.
Oh, because it doesn't have meaning. It just wasn't maybe fully dead.
It's
Okay,
old.
thank you.
It's pretty fully dead now.
Okay, now it's pretty fully dead.
And we're also getting quotes for the large pine that's over by Peter Worland's house, because that has to come down before it breaks and falls.
Yeah.
The according to the tree experts that came out to look at that tree for a quote, they saw, yeah, that one.
That tree?
And so it was, they looked at the stump of the one that broke. And there was a nail in the middle of the tree, and they said that was the reason why the tree fell. Now, whether you buy that story or not, but it was the one that caused the tree to be weak in that part of the trunk. And then the cracks just grew over time, over the years up the tree, and then the big wind came and knocked it down. That's the story. So I pass that on to you. For nothing other than just historical perspective. We met with the Georgetown Mountain Inn also. I think I included this in one of my Friday emails. They want to do some work on the back of their building so they can mitigate wildfire risks. And so we went out there and they just wanted to know where the town's property was and where their property was. Their setback is 5 feet, so we instructed them that 5 feet off the back of their building, they're free to do what they want. They were very happy about that.
So between them and the apartment building that's behind them, or further north of their? No,
No,
north.
so if you look at the back of their building, it looks like an alley. That's town's property.
Right.
And that's between the big house that's on the back side of it. And you can walk all the way down and you get down to that other street that's on the end. So I walked that with them, and they want to clear out the whole back side of their building and remove, brush that could potentially start a fire, or they want to replace the grass with gravel, like a landscaping gravel, so that's not exposed as well to fire risk. So I thought that was a cool thing that, one of our business owners sees what we're doing here and talking about wildfire resiliency. They immediately get on it and they want to do some work to protect their building. The manhole repair at I-70 is scheduled for tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. Yes, that will be a good thing. And then Mary sent me an email asking me about capital projects. And I alluded to it earlier, but of the 20 projects that we have in the budget this year, 14 have started work on them, whether they're in various stages of design or preparing scopes. Amanda talked about the park project. There's Pizza Park, Orland Park, Greenway Park, the skate park, and the sign project. Each one of those projects have been assigned to a smaller work team, we call them, of 2 or 3 people from the parks. This is helping for them to be more involved in preparation of the project planning, but also to help educate them on how government process works with regard to capital projects. And they're very excited about it. They're holding, their own little meetings to make plans and to talk about some of those, the different plans you've got. I think you all received the big UD plan, so they're working off of that as a kind of a beginning step up position. So as a part of that, it was suggested that we have a report on that. I think it would be appropriate for that to be a town administrator project in my staff report every time you get one now, to understand where these capital projects are in the planning, bidding, and construction process. That's all I have this evening. I know I butchered all of that, but you got the gist.
You may have responded to my email, and if you did, I apologize, I didn't look at it. 6th Street, a couple years ago, we were talking about curbs and all that. Where did we
That was a DOLA grant we were going to apply for, and then everything sort of fell apart.
Is it something that we can?
I don't think it's on the,
Yeah.
this year's capital projects. We do have some sidewalks and curbs that we're looking at for Kirkland House Street.
But nothing on Sixth Street, that, I'm just
Not
curious.
this year, not this year.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other comments from the Board of Selectmen? It is 8:53, 7:50, no, what is it? 7:53. Move to adjourn. Mary, and a second?
Second.
Amanda, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We are adjourned at 7:53.